What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well, but before we officially get into the video, I want to thank you guys so much for the great amount of support. Like, this channel literally wouldn't be possible without you guys. Anyone that smashes the like button, anyone that subscribes, leaves positive feedback down below in the comment section, like, you guys are absolutely amazing. And I also wanted to send a message towards, like, the great amount of people on this channel that go above and beyond and become members. Like, that is a very optional approach. Actually, a subscriber slash member of mine actually reached out and was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to renew my membership. And my response is going to be the same towards anyone. You do not have to renew the membership. You do not whatsoever. It is very optional. Just because you don't renew your membership does not mean I'm going to die. It is a very optional approach, and I just appreciate any of you guys like that do that. It just absolutely amazing to me, so yeah, just a big shout out to everyone that's a member. You guys are absolutely amazing, and just everyone that supports this channel. All of you guys have a great amount of input on this channel, and it literally wouldn't be where it is now, like, without you guys. Just thank you so much for being amazing. Thank you so much for being great, down-to-earth people, passionate Knicks fans. Love talking hoops with you guys. Love talking Knicks with you guys. If it's before a game, after a game, talking NBA in general, I'm always here for you guys, like, when it comes to Knicks content and all that. So thank you so much for the great amount of support. And we're actually going to be breaking down in this video, as a report came out by Brian Windhorst, as the New York Knicks organization, the front office, Leon Rose, Scott Perry, Guy, James Dolan, they're actually discussing a contract extension with Julius Randle. And I'm going to be talking about, does he deserve a max contract? How will it affect, like, the state of the president of the New York Knicks, and how will it affect, like, the future, you know? So I thought it would be a very interesting video to break down Julius Randle. Like, will he be this #1 option? Like, that's gonna deliver a championship to New York? Like, high praise there. Will he be potentially that guy, you know? But yes, we are going to be talking about Julius Randle. We're going to be talking about how it affects the future, a bunch of things that go into it. Let's get right into it, y'all. All right, the first thing actually we're going to be talking about is, like, does he win basketball games? I think this is like very important when it comes to, like, handing out a max contract to someone. By the way, like, this upcoming summer, he actually does have a team option. Most likely we are going to be picking that up. They're going to wait until the 2020, like, off season when it comes to giving him, like, that contract. There's big time guys when it comes to that free agency class: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic. I believe Trae Young's in that free agency class as well. Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine. There's so many great players. But can you imagine if he was a free agent in the 2021 free agency class? He would be getting an absolute bag. I already think he is in general, but you think about the 2021 free agency class. We know Kawhi is probably going to return to LA. All respect to Lowry, all respect to these solid players out there in that free agency class, but geez, like, it really depends, like, the amount of money, like, the players end up getting. It depends on the market. You have to think about it. Is there other great players in that market? Is there other players that are, like, better than him? Like, Julius Randle, obviously he's not better than Kawhi Leonard if he was in that one, and he would just be getting an absolute just bag. He would be getting just a huge contract, you know? So the first thing we're going to get into, which I think is extremely important before paying a player, does he care about winning? Is he a good leader? Like, is he in it to win basketball games? Is he in it, like, for the fans? He's not a selfish player. He's not just in it for the point. So is he a winning caliber basketball player? I think that's a very good question to ask. Of course, when we had these intentions to go out there, get a Kevin Durant, get a Kyrie Irving in that big-time free agency class, of course, or even a Jimmy Butler some people wanted as a consolation prize, or Kemba Walker. But you could say we kind of got into that tier 3 bag of things and ended up, like, with the Julius Randle. And then in the lower tiers, we got Marcus Morris, we got Taj Gibson, Reggie Bullock, Wayne Ellington, Alfred Payne. We got a bunch of these, like, really solid bench players, Bobby Portis. You know, we just absolutely splurged our money on these depth pieces that we didn't know how to use at the time, but now luckily we do. Of course, those are solid pieces, but they weren't Kevin Durant, they weren't Kyrie Irving. I was actually pretty pumped about Julius Randle coming off of a 20.8 rebound season the prior with the New Orleans Pelicans, backing up in Anthony Davis. But I was like, is he going to be able to put this team on his back? Is he going to carry the Knicks to the playoffs? Do we have the right coach to really develop Julius Randle, keep him in check? You know, this dude is someone who was a lottery pick by the LA Lakers. Some people really had, like, high praise for, and they thought he was going to be, like, a great player right out the gate. Of course, he actually had some solid seasons, but definitely he was killed in his first year by a big-time leg injury, bad luck. But yes, he was someone that was getting buckets, but when it came to the Knicks, like, for Knicks fans, like, no expectations are ever reached. Like, we tend to be really greedy when we get a player. We expect them to be LeBron James, because we haven't had this #1 option that puts the team on, like, their back since like a Carmelo Anthony or a Patrick Ewing or like a Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, like those types of days for sure. So we had such high expectations when it came to Julius Randle, and like we hated him right out the gate. I know there's a lot of people that like, I made a Julius Randle video like on trading him and how it was the best decision at the time, because I don't think people understand he has gotten that much better as a basketball player. He was not that good like in the past. He just wasn't, if we're being completely real, if I'm keeping it a buck with you guys. As there was really questions, is he stunning the development of RJ? He's a ball hog. This isn't resulting in winning basketball. He's turning the ball over. He's shooting too many threes for someone who's not even shooting 30% from downtown. He was missing clutch shots down the stretch. He was just being an absolute ball hog. His shot selection, his basketball IQ is awful. He's stuck up in his own ways. But yes, getting back into, is he a winning basketball player? He knew what he was capable of. He is very unselfish. He knew he had a bad season. He knew he let the Knicks fans down. He just really got, the pressure really got to him. He was like, I wanted to be this big time option, but I was not playing winning basketball. He put in the work. He was amazing, adding fadeaway jumpers to his arsenal, bumping his three-point percentage up to 40% from downtown, while it was in the low 20s last season. His free throw percentage going up, more points per game, better rebounder, better passer of the basketball, better decisions at the end of games. He still has things to brush up on when it comes to his turnovers, deep twos, knowing when to give up the basketball. But this guy is most likely going to win Most Improved Player. He has the Knicks as a top 5 seed. All respect to RJ Barrett, but he's still young. He's 20 years old. He started off the season very shaky. Wow, if like, think about this. Is Julius Randle so important to this team? If you don't bring him back like in the 2022 like free agency or whenever we give him the deal, will this team really be hurting? And the easy answer is yes. This team will be hurting unless RJ Barrett just makes a huge leap. Because can you count on RJ Barrett every single night to put up Julius Randle's production? Shoot shots off the dribble, put the team on his back, be consistent, be efficient. I love RJ Barrett, but he's not quite there yet, as Julius Randle's been doing this so consistently throughout the entire season. You could say he's taken a below average to like average roster to a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. You could say the Eastern Conference is weak, and like there are only like a few games between like the 4th and like 6th seed, you know. But this team is several games over 500. People projected this team to win 21 games. They have surpassed expectations. He's better from beyond the arc. He's making better decisions when it comes to scoring the basketball. He has go-to moves in his arsenal. He's just been extremely efficient, and he has the Knicks as a top 5 seed. So yes, he's very important to this team. This team would definitely be worse without Julius Randle. Like, he's really important to this ball club if we're being real. Next up, we're going to be talking about, will it affect the cap? And it won't whatsoever. Like, when you just think about the whole cap situation with the New York Knicks, like, this is what's so beautiful when it comes to the Knicks this season. They're growing as a team, but in the right way. You think back when we made the playoffs with Carmelo Anthony, with a Raymond Felton, with a Tyson Chandler or J.R. Smith. We had good basketball players, but there was also aging players. We didn't have cap space because we had these guys on huge deals, expiring contracts, so there was no longevity. The New York Knicks are top 3 in the league when it comes to cap space. They're improving as a team, but they're also young. Randle, 26 years old. RJ Barrett, 20 years old. Emmanuel Quickley, 21 years old. We don't even have our point guard yet. Mitchell Robinson's a young player, and they're contributing like to this basketball team. Of course, Mitch went down. We've always had this next man up mentality with this basketball team. But will it affect the cap? Not at the least. Like, this won't affect like the cap space whatsoever. If we go out there, sign Julius Randle to an absolute max, like that will be our only max contract on this roster. Like, I can't even tell you right now who is the second highest paid player when it comes to this team. Alec Burks, 1-year deal. Nerlens Noel, 1-year deal. RJ Barrett, rookie contract. There's so many like cheap players on this roster right now. Elfrid Payton brought back on a 1-year. When you take a look at the starting 5 here, you think about Elfrid Payton, he's on a 1-year deal. You think about RJ Barrett, you think about Bullock, you think of Mitchell Robinson. There's so many guys like on cheap contracts when you think about the New York Knicks. And you can afford to get Alonzo Ball this offseason. You can afford, when it comes to that 2022 like free agency class, like to spend that money on another max free agent. So we're going to go back to when we thought we were getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as delusional Knicks fans. What was the main attraction? There was no main attraction. We just came off of having a 17-win season. Kevin Knox, he wasn't just like huge attraction like a Luka Doncic. Like, he's just like this prodigy player. He had a lot of ups and downs. We didn't have RJ Barrett at the time. Like, we still have James Dolan. There was just no attraction whatsoever. When you take a look at the Miami Heat, yes, they didn't make the playoffs, but they nearly made the playoffs with like an average to below average roster. And their pitch was to him like, look what we were able to do with not a lot of talent. You are the missing piece. You take a look at the Brooklyn Nets, Kenny Atkinson, really coaching up those young players, leading them to the playoffs with an average roster, of course, with these young players, really building this good culture with D'Angelo Russell, with the Jared Allen, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are like, geez, could you imagine if like we're added to that club? Like, they were already like in the playoffs as a young basketball team. Kenny Atkinson was able to get the most out of those guys. Just imagine if we went there, you know? What was our attraction? Playing in Madison Square Garden like isn't a big deal like of wanting to go there. It's like, yes, we're playing in MSG, but we're not winning games. We don't want to be the team that's losing at MSG, as now it could actually be like a good attraction now. You think about it, Tom Thibodeau coaching up an average to below average roster. Alfred Payne, he does some solid things defensively, but he's not a starting caliber point guard. RJ Barrett's only 20 years old. He's going to continue to get better. Reggie Bullock, at one point in his career, he was a guy that was known for coming off the bench, but yes, he kind of did develop into like a solid starter in the league. Nerlens Noel, having this next man up mentality whenever someone goes down, they still continue to win games. We came off of winning 17 games, and we thought we're going to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They're trying to win championships. They're not trying to be there like through like really down times with a David Fizdale, of course. Like, will that team win an NBA championship? But now you think about it, Julius Randle, MVP candidate, most improved player, the Knicks are winning. Could you imagine the Garden rocking? Like, what Tom Thibodeau is doing with that team is just absolutely amazing. It actually looks like they're a solid organization for once. They want to win games. They're not rushing the process. I want to go there. That seems like a good organization that treats their players right. Julius Randle has been amazing, building this winning culture, top 5 seed, with like this young roster of guys. I would love to play with an RJ Barrett. I would love to play with the Julius Randle. I would love to go there. It's a totally different situation now. The next thing that's really important, is he a leader? Like, does he hold himself accountable? And it's just, he is. He holds himself accountable like crazy. He just demands like perfection from himself. Like, he knew that he was not great last season, and he puts in the work like crazy. There's literally clips out there on YouTube of him working out at 12 in the morning. Really, of course, after games or at like on a road trip, traveling. For example, if they go to play Memphis, they're gonna find like an open gym in Memphis, and he's gonna get his teammates to go there, put in the work, so they're extra prepared, so they're not rusty. He's all about holding himself accountable. He doesn't care how many stats he put up. Like, he cares about winning basketball games. He demands perfection from himself, and that's what we love. We want to win games. We don't care about your stats. It's all about winning, and that's what he brings to the table. And he just loves seeing his teammates have success out there. All right, so now we're going to get back into, like, he may not be this #1 option, but you think about it, if we build this right winning culture with this stacked 2022, like, free agency class coming up in a couple years, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Trae Young. Not saying we're going to get any of those guys, like, definitely, but I'm just saying maybe they'll be like, the Knicks are building the right culture. They have the cap space, because it's starting to get to the point, like, the Knicks are starting to become like one of the only teams that just haven't gotten that big time guy. Like, we're due to finally get this big time guy. And maybe a better basketball player, maybe even a Jimmy Butler, really built for New York. He's starting to kind of turn on the Heat in a way, like, oh, we're soft. I'm really questioning like what's going on here in this situation, but they went to the finals, so we'll see what goes on to happen. Like, these are rumors for a reason, but Jimmy Butler played under Tom Thibodeau. I know he's older, but he is someone that's like a no-nonsense type of attitude. He wants to win, and we can really afford him. Or even if we bring in like a Bradley Beal, people may look at him as, oh, he's not a winning basketball player. But we looked at Julius Randle the same way. Maybe he just needs the right coaching. But yes, it is possible. Maybe a Bradley Beal develops into a #1 option. I'm not really sure. He's like, some people are saying he is what he is at this point in his career, but there's still certain things you could add to your game to become that #1 option. Because Julius Randle, before, he was just a bench piece looked at, like, to many teams. Now he's looked at as an MVP candidate. So I feel like no one's really at their ceiling until they get the proper coaching, you know, because there's always something you can improve on. As Julius Randle could be that number one attraction, and they could be like, yeah, I want to go play with Julius Randle. I want to help him out. I want to take that load off his back, you know. Julius Randle may not be this number one option like on a championship team. He still has ways to go of like shooting, like his shot selection down the stretch of games, making certain passes, even though he's gotten way better as a playmaker. But it can be a big time attraction when, like, if the Knicks continue to get better, if they're even better next season. We'll see what goes on to happen this offseason if we get any acquisitions. Of course, the pipe dreams Kawhi Leonard, that's not happening. Kyle Lowry, some people went on a cheaper deal, but I don't see that happening. I feel like the Knicks are finally in this direction that they're not going to rush the process, get an older type of point guard. I feel like they're going to go out there, get Alonzo Ball, if of course the Pelicans aren't willing to pay him over like a certain amount of money, because I'm tired of these stopgap point guards. I'm tired of 1 year, 2 year. I want longevity at the point guard position. But yes, I still think we do need a number one option, and maybe someone is willing to finally take on that challenge and help out Julius Randle and take that load off his back. But we'll see what happens. Maybe RJ Barrett's maybe develops into that one day. But yes, we don't know what RJ Barrett's going to be yet. He's only 20 years old. We don't know if he's going to be a number 2 option or number 3 option whatsoever. And even if you don't look at Julius Randle as a number 1 option, maybe we do go on to attract someone in the 2022 free agency. Tom Thibodeau, no nonsense, wants to win basketball games. I'm a mentally tough player. I want to win an NBA championship. Tom Thibodeau does still have that chip on his shoulder after coaching those Bulls teams. Julius Randle has a chip on his shoulder, kind of being like, from the start, Julius Randle's had a chip on his shoulder. He thought he should have been drafted higher. RJ's 20 years old. Julius Randle was a lower tier MVP candidate. He had this average to below average roster as a top 5 seed. Can you imagine what the Knicks could do with me, utilizing my talent to really make a run at the NBA championship? I want to be that missing piece. I want to be that missing piece of the puzzle. If it's alongside an RJ, if it's alongside a Julius Randle, even Alonzo Ball, if we do end up bringing him in, like really solidifying that point guard position, couldn't we imagine like how the Garden will be? Like, we're finally building that winning culture. You look at the Miami Heat, you look at the Brooklyn Nets. They had the right coach at the time, specifically the Brooklyn Nets. They don't have that coach anymore, but they were really performing with average to below average rosters, and they really went out there with their winning culture and attracted star players, and that has worked out great for them. Heat going to the NBA championship. Of course, they fell short, but Jimmy Butler really was that missing piece when it came to the culture. No nonsense culture under a guy there of Eric Spoelstra, the young players over there such as Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and even more. In the Brooklyn Nets, they're probably going to be favorites to go out there and win the NBA championship with the James Harden, with the Kevin Durant, with the Kyrie Irving. And now you really think about it, maybe a star player will finally want to come here. And at some point, a star player is going to have to come here. We are due. It seems like everyone else has really filled up that max slot with at least one big-time star. And now looking at these other players that have gotten these big-time contracts, Brandon Ingram, De'Aaron Fox, Kristaps Porzingis, you could make the argument Julius Randle's better than all of them. As much as Kristaps Porzingis, like, he deserved that contract at the time. We're talking about someone who at the beginning of the season was looking like an MVP candidate, came off of an all-star season before he got hurt with the New York Knicks. Truly special talent, but he's definitely declined as a basketball player due to injuries. He has some habits in his game he definitely has to clean up. But you notice something here with these max contracts nowadays. They really don't care with what other organizations think. They don't care what the fan bases think, because they pay them based off of how important you are to the organization. De'Aaron Fox, you can't be greedy with that. Like, oh, I don't know if we should give him a big contract, because he is your point guard of the future. You pay him based off of how important he is to your franchise. Brandon Ingram as well. We're not sure if he's going to be that number one option. Hasn't really resulted in winning basketball. But yes, Julius Randle's resulted in winning basketball. He's an all-star. He's going to win most improved player. He deserves the contract, just like all of those guys. He deserves a max contract, like, over those guys. So those are examples there of, like, maybe some max contracts you think that aren't really working out, except De'Aaron Fox is a young player. It makes sense. But Kristaps Porzingis on the decline. We are not sure if he's going to get any better due to injuries really setting him back. Brandon Ingram, is he a winning player? But he's still young. And De'Aaron Fox, he's just unfortunately in a bad organization. And now, like, a very important question to ask yourself, if Julius Randle, like, left this offseason, like, nope, or just not even this offseason, like 2022 free agency, like, no, I don't want to come back to the New York Knicks, like, how important is he to the Knicks? Like, would this franchise be set back 3 to 4 years? Will this team really decline? I still think we'd be moving in the right direction, but losing a Julius Randle would be huge. As much as I love RJ Barrett, can you count on him tomorrow picking up the offense, running the offense through RJ Barrett, who can't shoot a jump shot off the dribble on a consistent basis? He can get to the rack, but he's not really right-hand oriented. He can turn the ball over. He's a better shooter, but those are in catch-and-shoot situations when, for example, a Julius Randle sets him up. Can you expect him to be, like, consistent? This is someone who had a really rough patch at the beginning of the season. He's only 20 years old. Can he be consistently efficient as well? Can he make those key plays, you know? Does he have enough moves in his arsenal to be a #1 option? I love RJ Barrett, but he's not there yet. Guys, let me know down below, do you think Julius Randle deserves a max contract? And as always, guys, have a humble day or night. Peace out, y'all.